What's going on, Nerd Nation? This is Sleevecard signing in and welcoming you guys to week 6 already of the PBL. That is the Professional Battle League. And I think that's actually the first time I've said that properly, because I usually say Pokemon Battle League, but it is the Professional Battle League. This week we are going to be taking on Classic, who you guys may know as Classy Gengar, or more recently as Veteran Trainer John. Now, before we jump into the battle, I will tell you, if you guys can see right here, I have changed the team around just a little bit from previous weeks. So I went ahead and swapped out Torkoal and Cresselia, and I put in Roserade, and I put in Clawitzer, just to kind of mix things up. I feel like Cresselia was useful, but really wasn't doing it for me. And the same kind of goes for Torkoal. Torkoal is a very, I would say, like, niche Pokemon. Like, there are uses for it. It's good for setting up Stealth Rocks, all that kind of stuff. But it just was not bringing home the bacon, so to speak. So let's go ahead and jump right into this battle. As you can see, Veteran Trainer John, I almost called him Classic, but we'll call him John. Veteran Trainer John, as you can see, his team was not too shabby, honestly. I mean, Darmanitan, Flygon, Cloyster, Mimikyus, Suicune, and Murkrow. Not a bad lineup. And honestly, going into this battle, you guys, this was probably one of the trainers I was a little bit, what's the word? I would say anxious. That's probably the word I'm looking for. I was probably the most anxious going into this battle, just because, one, you have a trainer who is, frankly, I wouldn't say professional, but he's just about as professional as you're going to get as a battler on YouTube. So we have someone who's known for his Pokemon battles, and he's also one of the founders of the league, so you know that at least somebody's bringing the talent. So going in right here, we set up with Klefki. He started off with Murkrow. So we're going to set up the spikes. He went for Mean Look, as you guys just saw, to prevent our escape. So as you can see, pretty much how he's setting up here, he goes for the Parasong. He already has us locked in with the Mean Look. So at this point, I'm thinking, like, hey, obviously we can't swap out. We don't have any swap out moves, so let's just go ahead and load up the field as best as possible. So I just start planting spikes. My goal here is to get as many layers of spikes, which would be 3. So my goal is to get 3 layers of spikes up before we faint, and then possibly get some kind of chip damage off on Murkrow before it swaps out. So here we go. So this is the 3rd layer of spikes, and I think that this kind of comes in handy later in the game, just because it does a lot of, like, residual chip damage. So obviously at this point he's going to swap out right before the parish count runs out to 0. And what's interesting to me, so he goes in for Flygon. Now at this point I have all 3 spikes up, so I ended up actually going in for Play Rough, just because that was like my one attacking move on this was Play Rough. So it just kind of coincided that he swapped into a Dragon type right into the Play Rough, and it worked out very nicely for us. So next up we have Brawnypawn, our Clauncher, or Clawitzer rather. So the reason I sent this out, obviously, is because it is rocking out Ice Beam. But as you can see, so he sends out Suicune, which was a really good prediction on his part, because obviously the Ice Beam is going to just get eaten up right here. So you know, doesn't do a lot of damage, and then he's going to start the whole leftovers. I believe he actually goes for Aqua Ring here in just a second, just to kind of build up like all the resistance you can get on Suicune and get it as bulky as possible. So for me, the best counter we really had for that Suicune was going to be Raikou. So really my goal here was just to send out something to really pressure the Suicune as best as possible. And I believe Raikou kind of does this, because Raikou, and I'll confirm this in just a second when we see the next turn, but I believe Raikou is actually a bit faster. It's not as bulky, but it is a bit faster, I do believe. And this one's heavily invested in its speed and in its special attack. So right here, I could have gone for the Thunderbolt, but I didn't. I went for Shadow Ball because I was kind of thinking he was going to swap here. So that was actually my fault in there, because I could have gone for the Thunderbolt and gotten off quite a bit of damage. However, kind of did a misplay. I kind of was hoping he would swap. So he really outplayed me on that one. And he gets the burn off on the Scald, which is not good for us. It's not the end of the world, because obviously this isn't a physical attacker, so we don't have to worry about drop there. But then he actually outsmarts us a second time, because this time I was predicting that he would stay in. He stayed in last turn, so I wrongly predicted he would stay in again. And I actually went for the Z-Power, which in this case was going to be Gigavolt Havoc. So obviously he swaps in. He's able to not get damaged at all thanks to his ground typing. But the Shadow Ball will help out here. So the Shadow Ball is going to take out Flygon. So at this point, I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling super confident because I have some concerns. Like, obviously, there's the Murkrow we have to worry about. Do the Parasong. Obviously, Darmanitan here is a little bit of a concern. But what is nice is, as you guys can see right there, the Spikes does quite a bit of damage. So what was that? Probably about a fifth to a quarter of damage. So that was really nice, and that kind of plays a role, I think, throughout the match. So I end up going into Lando, and my thought here is Lando, I can get an Earthquake off, do some damage that way. But again, this is why I was concerned about facing this guy, is because he plays all of his swaps very smartly. So as you can see, he went in for the U-turn, and he really pivots well throughout the match, which is something like, as I get more and more into competitive battling, that's something I definitely want to get more of the hang on. So right here, so I go for the U-turn because I'm kind of predicting that he's going to go for like Icicle Spear. So I'm going into Keldeo, hoping I can absorb it, and he does go in for the Icicle Spear. And then I believe this one, off the top of my head, I'm going to obviously say it's like skill linked, just because it hits for all 5. Now, at this point, there's 2 reasons. So one, that I went into Keldeo. So one reason is obviously to absorb this Icicle Spear, and the second reason is obviously with Secret Sword, we should be able to do some kind of damage with this being an Ice type. However, he goes for the swap again. So again, he really outplays us on the swap. The Spikes are going to come through here, though. And then the Secret Sword, obviously, he is able to negate with his Ghost typing. Now, right here, so I go for the Icy Wind, and I do this for really 2 reasons. One, if he stays in, we're breaking the Disguise, and we're getting the Speed drop. So that's reason 1, is it's still useful if he stays in. Now, if he had swapped, the same kind of logic applies, so we would have been able to get some kind of damage plus the speed drop. Obviously, we're not able to withstand that hit because, and I'll be honest, going into Gen 7, I did not expect Mimikyu to be able to kind of hit that hard, because just from appearances, it looks like it's kind of a gimmicky, more defensive kind of Pokemon, just from looking at it before Gen 7 came out. So I'm kind of surprised at how much Mimikyu is really kind of shaping the metagame these days. If that, if that's the proper way to look at it. So right here, he's just going for Shadow Sneak. I think he knows that this Mimikyu is going to get KO'd. So he's going in for the Shadow Sneak just to get some kind of damage off. Obviously, the Dark Pulse here is going to take it out, because that 1 is Dark Pulse was super effective, and 2, it's Mega Launcher. And now we're back into Suicune. So now obviously I've got kind of a feel for the Suicune, because I know that it's going to set up Aqua Ring, it's going to run Leftovers, all those kind of things. So I use this opportunity to swap into Roserade, kind of predicting that this turn he's going to go for the Aqua Ring, which he does. So as you can see, I'm getting better at the predictions. I'm still not as good as some of the other trainers, but slowly but surely we're going to get there, and maybe this time, next century, I'll be able to do all kinds of swaps and predictions and that kind of stuff. So he ends up swapping because I think he knows what we're going to do here, and that's because there's really only one thing that Roserade's going to do, and that's Leaf Storm. So we set off the Leaf Storm. Murkrow is just going to absorb it. Now, I was surprised at how much damage this did, honestly, because it did roughly half. Now, granted, it is like a not fully evolved Pokemon, and we hit it for stab and all that good stuff. But I was still relatively surprised. So I'm going into Lando, and that's because this Lando actually has Rock Slide. So my goal is to knock out the Rock Slide and kind of go from there. Now, as you can tell, you see what he's doing. He's going to set up the Mean Look. He's going for the Roost because he doesn't want to get KO'd this turn. But he goes for the Mean Look. he goes for the Roost, and obviously this next turn he's going to go for the Perish Song. Now, the Rock Slide missing really stinks because that would have gone a long ways to kind of reshaping this turn and these kind of matches. So he goes for the Perish Song. The Rock Slide misses again, which is just ridiculous to me. Like, the odds of us losing 2 moves or missing 2 moves like that in a row are just, I don't know, I feel like it's unreasonable. I mean, it's not unreasonable, but it's just kind of frustrating. But luckily, the third time we hit. So the third time we're able to hit, not enough to take it out, but you can see why that Roost paid off, because if he hadn't gone for the Roost, we would have been able to get the KO just off the one hit. So he's just going for Roost, and he's really stalling us right now. Now, this is something, I'll tell you, at this point right now, you can't see it, because obviously you're looking at the 3DS screen, but I am on my phone right now, like, trying to see if things like U-turn, baton pass, and all that actually will, Volt Switch, all those kind of pivoting moves will get us out of a mean look. So he goes for the swap, trying to dodge, just so he doesn't faint. Now, this, and I actually just learned this, and I feel I might be really stupid for not knowing this, but through my research, so I found out you can U-turn out of a mean look, which is what we're doing here, because I definitely need Lando to survive just to keep this match rolling. If we had lost Lando here, I don't know how much longer this team would have held up, just because the only other pivoting move off the top of my head that is on this team is Volt Switch, actually right here on Raikou. So if it hadn't been for that, us being able to do that, he would have been able to just sit there and trap us and wear us out that way. So obviously, he's going in for the E-Speed. Now, I was happy that I survived this. I didn't think that was going to happen, but we managed to survive it. We managed to take out Suicune as well, which is really good because I think between Suicune and Mimikyu, that was probably the bulkier 2 Pokemon on his team. Now, he has Cloyster. Obviously, Cloyster is a decent enough threat. I stay in, and the reason I'm going to stay in right here, even though I know he's going to go for the Ice Shard, is because I didn't want to do a free swap. So I kind of wanted to just let Raikou go and then be able to trade in right here. Because Cloyster does not, why I keep saying Cloyster? Clawitzer does not have the best defenses, as you can kind of see it here, getting smashed by Rock Blast. But it does have just enough to hang on, just enough HP. I'm not going to say just enough defense, but it has just enough HP to hang on, which lets us rock out this Aura Sphere, get the KO. So at this point, I would say at this point in the match, I'm feeling semi-confident. I don't think, not cocky enough to say that we're going to win 100%, but I feel confident enough that, hey, we've got a 3-on-2 advantage. We still have Lando in play. So worst case scenario, there's that option. And just enough to kind of hang in there. So he's going to Toxic us. I just want to get off the free hit because I don't want to deal with all this Perish Song games. So we go for the Ice Beam. It does crit. I think we could have taken it out without the crit, but like I said, I will take a crit. I'm not even going to say we'll take it out without the crit. I'm just happy that we got the crit. And now right here, so you see the spikes kicking again. So right here I'm feeling good. But I actually feel a little uneasy right now because, so he's got the speed advantage. He goes for Flare Blitz, and watch this. So down goes Clawitzer, which again isn't that shocking because Clawitzer does not have any defense, and his HP was way down too. Now we're going to go into Lando, and my hope for this is either to Rock Slide or Earthquake, preferably Earthquake, because I don't want to deal with any more Rock Slide shenanigans where we're missing a bunch of freaking attacks in a row. He hits with Flare Blitz again, because this thing is just ridiculous. We go down. Now, like I said a couple turns ago, I was feeling confident a couple turns ago when we were up 3-2. At this point, I'm just watching my victory slip between my fingers, but we luck out. We luck out because he gets the recoil damage, which is able for us to preserve the win. So we're able to preserve the win, which is amazing because if you think about it, otherwise we would have had to send out Rose Raid against a Flare Blitz Darmanitan, which would have definitely taken us out one hit. So, with that, guys, that brings us up to 3-2 on the season. Winning by the skin of our teeth, I would say. So that brings us up to 3-2. Heading into week 6, which I feel a little comfortable at. I believe that should put us roughly around the middle of the pack. Maybe in a week or two I'll do like an update that'll show everybody's standings, all that kind of stuff. But that puts us in the middle of the pack. We're not upper tier yet, so we're not in the veteran trainer John or some of the other players. There's a player like Garchomp the God, those kind of players. We're not up there yet, but at least we're slowly inching our way out of the basement. And if we can, I don't want to jinx us, but if we can continue this kind of progress throughout the season, maybe by the end of the season I'll be somewhat competent. I think I'm able to hold my own right now, but I'm definitely not going to be threatening a championship this season. But with that being said, guys, there's the match. I hope you guys like what you saw. I hope you guys like the little tweaks that we did for the team, adding in Clawitzer and adding in Rose Raid. If that is the case, go ahead and hit that like button for me down below. And of course, leave me a comment telling me how terrible I am as a battler. Telling me that at least I'm better than I was week 1, hopefully. But with that being said, guys, go ahead and leave those likes, leave those comments. And, of course, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done so. But, last but not least, guys, I am going to go ahead and get on out of here for today. This is Sleevecard signing out. Have yourselves a beautiful day, and I will see you later.